Hello everyone, welcome to the course Disability Studies in India, Historical, Social and Cultural Perspectives. So in this module, we are talking about disability, impairment and cyborg. Right, so what we are trying to do, we are looking at what cyborg is doing to people with disability, how cyborg is challenging the notion of body, autonomy, identity, so on and so forth. So look at the title, that's a very interesting. Cyborgs are disabled. Right? Let me talk 5 minutes first on this. Okay, what I mean, why I have put it with the question mark, right? Where I'm asking you to uh, reflect upon whom do we call cyborgs, whom do we call disabled, right? Let me put it this way. Again, I'm going back to the same idea where we started. A person who has impaired body using wheelchair will be called as a disabled. A person who is able-bodied but using car, let's say for example, to move his body, he is not disabled. How? How do you think? How is possible? A person is using wheelchair to enhance his mobility is disabled. A person using his car to enhance his mobility is not disabled. This makes us to think that how we are prejudiced towards people with disability. How wheelchair has got negative meaning, how it has a stigma, and that is why people using wheelchairs are always looked down upon, but person using car has got a new status in our society. This is a kind of a paradox that I'm talking about, right? They both are using machine, they both are taking the help of machine, but they both are getting new identity. The one disgraced identity, another one privileged identity, right? So you see that how these two, disgraced and privileged, is not based on any substantial reasoning, but rather a flawed one, rather a biased one, rather a prejudiced one. You got this idea? So when we are talking about this title called Disabled or Cyborgs, right? My question is, how do we identify someone as a disabled? The very pretty notion is that there is a person who has impaired body, and when he is discriminated by the society, it's called he is facing disability, right? Since his impaired body become disabled because he is not able to access the environment, so on and so forth. What is a cyborg? Cyborg is a body where there is an interface of human and machine, where there is a interface of human and machine. Here also you see that, which means that person is not feeling capable, person is not competent with what he has, and that is why he is taking the help of machine. So, like more than what cyborg does, like dismantling the binary between ability and disability, dismantling the boundary between human and machine, dismantling the binary between animal and human, right? I am talking about that even this idea that disabled people are cyborgian bodies or cyborg people are disabled bodies, right? Either cyborgs are disabled or disabled are cyborg. This cannot be said very explicitly. This cannot be told very explicitly. That is what that's why I have kept this title as a cyborgs or disabled. In the previous lecture, before I talk about what I am going to talk in this lecture, in the previous lecture I was talking about how cyborg has challenged the concept of autonomy, how cyborg has challenged the concept of equality, how cyborg, the notion of cyborg had challenged the concept of identity. I mean, there is nothing called whole identity as such now. We all have a hybrid identity, right? Our identity is becoming, it is in the process of gaining new identity. It is not static, it is dynamic. You got this idea? So, cyborg has challenged this entire foundation of Western civilization, which promised autonomy, which promised agency, which promised fixed identity, which promised equality in the society. But in the previous lecture, we noticed that how the very monster, I am calling monster, technology, which was used to do this, has done otherwise. It has widened the gap between rich and poor. It has controlled our lives, and there is nothing as such called fixed identity. All right. So, we saw that, we noticed that in our previous lectures. All right. These all are very important concept when we are talking about the discourse of disability. They are very important concept because in disability discourse, we all are talking about agency, autonomy, identity, all right. But this new intervention has challenged everything, has subverted everything, has dismantled everything. That is the point. So, in this lecture, I am going to pick up Donna Haraway directly, from where the idea is popularized, who has popularized this idea, right, who has made this idea discussed in her book, A Cyborg Manifesto. And in fact, I have been referring to her very constantly, and I am sure that you must have read her by now, because in this lecture I am going to talk more on what Haraway is talking about cyborg in relation to people with disability. Obviously, Haraway does not directly touches upon disability, but obviously when you are touching the body, you are touching the disability, right. That is why you remember I always suggest that when you are talking about cyborg, or when you want to look at discourse of disability, do not go directly on people with disabilities, because there are always already available site which you consider normal, because the idea of a normal is situated upon the idea of abnormal. If there is no concept of abnormal, there is nothing called normal, and that is why to remain normal, you have to keep generating the concept of abnormal. All right. Let us go look at the slide number 1, right. The concept of a cyborg, a fusion, which I have already talked to you, just I want to surf your memory. The concept of the cyborg, a fusion of a human and machine, has long fascinated scholars, writers, thinkers across disciplines. Coined in the 1960s by NASA scientist Manfred Klein and Nathan Klein, which I have already told you, but I am giving you the new context here when I am talking about the cyborg. Every time I am using cyborg, I am going to give you the new context. The term referred to the idea of augmenting human bodies with machine to enhance survival in extreme environment, such as outer space. Since then, the idea of a cyborg has expanded into diverse realms, including disability studies, where it serves as a powerful metaphor for rethinking humanity, rethinking technology and rethinking the body. That is very significant, that how body is now going to be, how it is reconceptualized. We have to explore the concept of cyborg through the lens of disability, which I am going to do in this lecture. We can gain valuable insights into how technology can challenge conventional understanding of ability, normalcy and identity. All right. So, when I am talking about how technology is going to challenge or how cyborg is going to challenge the concept of or understanding of ability, normalcy and identity. I have already talked the notion of identity, right. So, I am not going to touch upon identity in this lecture, but I am going to definitely talk on the concept of normalcy and ability. Let me give you again a simple example, just to make you understand, right. For example, something is normal. How do you reach to a conclusion? By saying that this is normal, because most of the people often repeat it, most of the people often do it, and then we say that this is a normal. For example, if you are covering the distance of 10 kilometers in 10 minutes, it is normal, it is nothing extraordinary you are doing, right. So, if you say that today I covered the 10 kilometer distance in 10 minutes, I am just roughly putting it data. So, you will see, okay, so what, nothing, it is normal, right. What is it is normal, everyone does it. But next day you come and say that I covered the 10 kilometer distance in 5 minutes, then people will look at you with a sense of a surprise, astonishment. How did you do that? How could you do that? How is it possible? But you do not tell, you just say I covered it. People will look at you with a sense of amazement and they will not find it normal. But there is a person who covers the same distance of 10 kilometers, let us say in 1 hour. How will you look at him? With a sense of a disgrace, discontentment, a sense of insult. You will look down upon him. Okay, how could he do that? So, there are 3 instances I kept it before you. The one who is covering the 10 kilometer distance in 10 minutes, which is considered to be normal. Another one is covering the distance in 5 minutes, which you looking with the sense of amazement, and the one who is covering the distance of 10 kilometers in 30 minutes or 1 hour, you are looking him or her with a sense of insult or disgrace. Now, the point here is that in one, there is ability notion implied, because norm and ability they go together. So, you see people are able to do so. You expect people and able people to cover the distance in 10 kilometers, but there is a machine which has helped you in reaching that, covering up that is distance in 5 minutes. Now, it has become normal, right. So, now you are supposed to reach to the office in 5 minutes, and if you are not able to reach in 5 minutes, which means that you are not honest, not sincere, not punctual. Here you see that what I am trying to tell you, that concept of normalcy is evolving. A couple of years before, the concept of norm was something else, because there was no machine, there was no car, there was no technologies available. Now, because we have technology, because we have machine, now the concept of a norm has taken a new definition, new understanding, new thinking. So, that is why I am saying that the very ability has taken a new understanding. Let us say, for example, I am sure that you must hear so often in the news that there is a person who got arrested because of the taking a dose which enhances the ability of a player. I mean, this is a huge discourse. In fact, I have written an article on that as well. So, taking a particular dose will enhance the ability of a person. So, which means that he will be not allowed to participate in that game. Why? Because there is an extra help he has taken from medicine, which has enhanced his ability, and therefore, they are not equal anymore. These two people are not equal anymore. One person is so called natural body. He is coming naturally. Second one has taken the help of medicine, and that is why he has enhanced his help, and now he is going to play. So, it is inequality. So, but the game is about two people who are equal, but that is not true. That is never the case. There is no game about two equal people. Otherwise, if it is about two equal people, no one will win, no one will lose, right. So, one is disqualified, but the point is that what is the notion of ability now, right. What if he is getting the better food, getting better diagnostics, medications constantly? There also machine is helping him to strengthen his ability. Let us say weightlifting, right. He has got a better coach, he has got a better protein, he has got a better food available, he has got extra machines to work out. But so you have already made something unequal. So, I know it may sound like a far-fetched, but the point what I am making is that the notion of ability is taking a new meaning nowadays, right. It is taking a new meaning nowadays. So, this is why I said that conventional understanding is challenged. Conventional understanding is challenged, that the idea of a norm, the idea of ability, the idea of identity is challenged. Look at the next slide, please. So, Donna Haraway's work, A Cyborg Manifesto, is a foundational text that considers the cyborg as transgressive figure capable of breaking down the boundaries between human and machine, nature and culture, ultimately challenging notion of fixed identity. So, which I have already explained to you. I have also talked to you that how the boundaries between human and machines are broken, and when it comes to nature and culture, right. So, this also has been challenged. For Haraway, cyborg is a symbol of a liberation, right, transcending traditional categories of gender, race and importantly ability. Therefore, in the realm of disability studies, cyborgs can be seen as emblem of empowerment for people who use, or for individuals who use prosthetics, implant and assistive devices, as these technologies can enhance mobility, communication and functionality, right. So, the point what I am making, that what the cyborg was talking about, that these categories like race categories, gender categories, class categories, culture categories, ability categories, it is evaporated after the cyborg has come. How? Let me talk. You can change your skin color with the help of genetic engineering. You can enhance your ability as much as you want. Obviously, there is a limit, but still, right. You can change your gender as well, right, with the help of a machine. So, now these divisions which are based on nature, so called natural, it has been challenged. That is why I am saying that the boundary between nature and culture is also blurred, right. You have already heard this, you have already seen the cases obviously often in everyday life. So, a disabled people may feel abled, he can do anything that he wants, right. He can read. I am sure that we have a braille available for people with disabilities who are blind or who are visually impaired, they can read. There are hearing aids, they can hear, absolutely they feel very much normal in the society, they can be very much part of the society and they can do their work the way they want, there is absolutely no problem. You got this idea? Therefore, what I am suggesting is that Donna Haraway is saying that it has challenged the notions of traditional categories of gender, race and identity. All right. Let us look at the next slide, please. In the next slide, I am talking about that how technological augmentation can offer autonomy and agency, allowing them to navigate environment that might otherwise be inaccessible. So, this is what I said, like with the help of technology they can access the environment. For example, they can walk on the floors, they have a prosthetic limbs now, they can walk as the normal people walk, right. So, this perspective shifts the focus away from seeing disability as a limitation and instead highlight the potential of technology to reshape what it means to be abled, right. A person with cochlear implant, for example, challenges the definition of hearing, demonstrating that the boundary between human senses and technological assistance is not as rigid as previously thought. What I am talking about is, let us say for example, a person who is born with capacity to hear, a person who is not born with the capacity to hear, since he has got cochlear implant, his sense is working as the normal people's sense are working. So, how do you make a division between which one is human sense and which one is technological assistance? So, this advanced prosthetic limbs that mimic natural movements blur the line between organic and synthetic, underscoring the cyborg's potential to redefine human capabilities, right. This is the point. So, the point I am sure that now when I am touching upon Haraway's article, it is becoming more clear to you, right. It is getting clear to you because now I am asking that the sense that works, that enhances your capacity to listen and the organ that you have, what to call, because there is a cochlear implants that can replace your organs. If it is implanted in your body, you do not need an organ. So, it is functioning as a biological part of your body. It is very much biological now, because that is what the job is, right. The job of that particular organ was to make you listen the voices that is spoken. But since we have got cochlear implants, it is the same device is functioning as your organ is functioning. So, which one you will say biological and which one you will say mechanical, right. That is a problem. That is the question that is posed by Donna Haraway's article argument on cyborg. All right, let us go to the next slide now. The notion of disability is often framed within a medical model, which views impairment as a deviation from the normative standard of a health. However, the social model of disability popular in disability studies redefine disability as a product of social and environmental barriers that limits access and inclusion. Within this framework, the cyborg emerges as a radical figure that reimagines disability not as a deficit which was given by medical model, right? Okay, disability is a deficit, but as an opportunity. What is cyborg providing? Cyborg is providing an opportunity for new forms of identity and expression. So, cyborgian identity embraces the ideas that bodies are not fixed or natural, but continuously shaped by technologies, environment and social interaction. So, let us have a key question now, right, with which I will start the new lecture. So, the key question is here, how cyborgian augmentation affect identity. For example, does a person with a prosthetic limb or a pacemaker remain fully human? Or, that is interesting question, do they embody a new form of hybrid identity? These questions become even more complex when we consider individuals who are relying on technologies to such an extent that these devices are integral to their self-conception. The cyborgian identity expands the possibilities of understanding disability by asserting that incorporation of technology is not simply an accommodation, but a valid and empowering way of being. That is the point, right. That is a point made, and that is why I picked up this lecture, that it is not simply enhancing, it is not simply changing, but it is a more way of a being, right. As I told you with my examples, that I use my spec as an, it's like organ of my body. That is how I define myself. I cannot think without this. So, to conclude my lecture, I would like to say that obviously you have to read Donna Haraway's article, but you also have to think that how implantations with the help of machine has become our way of being. Let us say for example, uses of your mobile phone, right. If I take away mobile phone as if it's lost everything, I can take, you can say you take my organ but not my mobile phone, which means that mobile phone has taken a new meaning in your life. It is how you define yourself. You cannot think of yourself without the mobile phone. It's a part of your body itself, right. So, this is what Donna Haraway is arguing, is discussing in her book, A Cyborg Manifesto. All right. So, with this, I would like to end my lecture. Thank you so much for listening to me. See you next time. Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you so much once again.